All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. We are gonna set this motor in the Camaro today, and we're gonna wire it all up, put some oil in it. I do not have a trans yet because I sold my last one, and Jake's Performance still doesn't have it done. So we're gonna put oil in it, put a water pump on it, all the wires, everything. So let's get to it. All right, guys, we got some sketchy bolts right there holding the front side of this motor up, but the back side's good. We're gonna set this thing in there. Well, first problem we encountered is I put these brackets on backward. Well, then I realized as soon as we started lowering the engine down, that new alternator bracket is going right directly in to where my rack and pinion shaft's gonna come out. This thing has been causing me issues ever since I installed the dang thing. As you can see, I had to notch that, and then now the alternator is just gonna sit right in the way. Okay, alternator is off. Let's actually lower it down on the mounts now.
What else could go wrong?
The rack and pinion is still causing a ton of issues. So I'm gonna take the motor back out. I'm gonna cut that bracket that came with this rack and pinion and lower that down, angle it, and I'm gonna cut a hole in the frame right here, run it right under that mount, at least I hope. And then I'm gonna get a new Motion Raceworks steering column too. And then hopefully that will be the key to getting the rack and pinion finally to work. I will say that plate is much less sketchy than the last time we took this thing out of here. Well, boys, after fighting this freaking bracket for about an hour and a half, I got one side of this bolt out. The other one, there is a lockdown on the back side, and it is not coming out. So I'm about to just whip out the grinder and cut that freaking bolt off, because it is kicking my ass. So I got it up on the lift, and I'm still trying to figure out how this shaft's gonna go. I've seen guys thin this shaft out and then cut a hole right here and then come out the other side for this shaft here. Well, I think I'm gonna extend this down so then it'll go right through there and then come out down there. But I'm gonna have to lower that rack and pinion down so it looks like right around there maybe, or maybe down a little bit so it'll clear my motor mount right here. But in order to do that, I'm gonna cut these notches off right here on both sides, lower those down a little bit, and then weld them back on, and hopefully it'll gonna change my angle, and I'm also gonna change the height. So I'm gonna take a hole saw bit, and I'm gonna cut it right in here, and then we're gonna figure out what angle this shaft is gonna go through there. Well, guys, I caved in and got me a Motion Raceworks steering column. It's a DIY kit. It has the coupler on it where I take my steering wheel off to make it so much easier getting in and out of the vehicle. So I'm gonna get this old steering column out. We're gonna measure that and see how far the length is off, because I'm pretty sure you can cut those tubes a little bit shorter if you need. And then we're gonna make some mounts to mount it back up there. All right, so we got the old steering column out, and as you can see, it's about, what, 6 inches longer probably, the DIY one is. So we're gonna take this thing apart. We're gonna make it shorten, so I'm gonna take this piece off, and then we're gonna trim this outer tube here about 6 inches shorter. We'll actually make all the measurements and whatnot. We'll put this thing back in there, make sure it fits up good. And our plan here is, this is the piece that mounts it to the firewall, so the bolts just go in from the inside. You can see where the hole is missing right now. So we're gonna cut a piece of 1/8 inch steel the size of this, drill the holes in it like that, and then we'll just cut the center hole the 1.25 inch that OD of that tube is, and then we'll weld that on the end of that one. And then I think we're gonna take this piece off, because this just unbolts from the factory one, and we're gonna try to utilize this somehow, because this is all the factory mounting holes anyway. It's a little bit bigger, but I think it's gonna work just fine. All right, guys, got me a piece of metal. So I'm gonna take this little piece off the end of the old steering column and trace it out, cut it out, and cut some holes in it. And then we'll be one step closer. So we got a new piece made. Looks pretty close, not bad for a rookie. So we're just gonna take a hole saw bit and then cut this piece where the steering column's gonna go through. So I wanna make this shaft just about the same length as the stock one. So I got them both sitting next to each other. It's basically 32 inches from the face of where the steering wheel is gonna go to the end of the original steering column. So I got it marked here. So by the time that this little flange that they have made, the billet one, it's gonna match up with basically the end of where the factory column ends. So I'm gonna cut that piece, we'll shorten that down, put it back together, and then I got the hole in my plate already cut, so that's gonna slide over like that. When that keeper's not there, it'll sit just like the factory plate did. All right, so a little update. We got the steering column in, and the plate is actually mounted up real nice. I'm gonna end up shortening this a little bit, but I'm waiting to get the rack mounted before I do that. The column is in here, and I got my steering wheel and the sweet coupler in there. So now my steering wheel comes out, which I am super excited about. And we got a mount set up, so it's actually mounted in there. But the problem is I had to order a new U-joint. I wanted a Flaming River one, so I had to wait. It's gonna be here on like Tuesday, but I don't want to mount the rack and pinion yet because I want to put the U-joint on there and then run that shaft through under here and then get that U-joint mounted to where everything's perfect, and then I can weld these brackets that I have made for this rack and pinion. So I'm kind of at a standstill right now, but that stuff will be here this week, and hopefully the transmission people call me this week. Been waiting on that for almost 6 months now, but that is the thing that is holding up. As you guys can see, I got the motor back out. I got it sitting on the engine stand over here, so it is ready to go. I'm just waiting on the transmission to come, and I can throw the interior back in, and this thing will be running here pretty soon. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I had to load the car up and take it to the local track, and I got my NHRA certification tag for the 850 Cert cage. So that's pretty exciting. But that's gonna be the update on the car. So you guys have to come back next week as I get more progress. Hopefully get that transmission there. We'll get that rack and pinion mounted and see what I tear up. I'll see you later, guys.